All right, so let's talk about how to make inferences from sample size, sample statistics. So we've got here a random sample of a certain number of students at a high school and asked to name the type of technology they'd like to use most for learning a foreign language. And we got a table that has the results, and we're asked to make a reasonable inference about the number of students who would like to use a tablet. So the number of students overall in the school who would like to use a tablet. So the way you do this is, first of all, you're going to calculate your sample statistics. And the sample statistic is basically going to be what's the size of my sample, and then what's the percentage of my sample that has the statistic that I'm looking for. So if I look at the bar graph over here, I have 20 students who prefer a smartphone, 25 who prefer a tablet, 15 who prefer a laptop, and 20 who prefer a desktop computer. So if I wanted the size of my sample, that's all of those categories put together. So 20, 25, 15, and 20. So that's 80 students that we went overall. And then I want to choose the statistic that I'm trying out of my sample that I'm trying to check for. So I want the number of students using a tablet. So this is my sample size, and my sample statistic is that 20 of those, is that right? No, 25. 25 of those prefer tablet. So this gives me what's called a sample percentage. And these terms are not all that like important. Just knowing that you're working with a sample is what matters. So if I took 25 and I divided it by 80, that gives me 0.3125, or about 31.25%. So these are my sample statistics. I use my size and the thing I'm trying to observe to get a proportion of the sample that actually has that trait. Now I'm going to make my inference. And my inference is, if I actually found the sample statistic and my sample matches my population in like traits, then the same percentage or the same proportion of my entire population should have the same trait. So if I multiply those two things together, I get 213.75, which implies that you could either answer 213 or 214. I'm going to use 214 here. That 214 students would prefer, can't write, a tablet. So really, I mean, making this inference stuff is not hard. It's taking your sample, getting a proportion, and applying that proportion to the population as a whole.